there is no secret we are pro Bruno de Carvalho. The man came on the podcasts, and we got called out by a few people a few weeks ago. If you guys remember, about being anti Varandas, whatever. And like, to give credit, look what he's done. Just this last month, European futsal champions and the first Premier League title in 19 years. You've got to give the man credit, and Hugo Viana. Like, they took a massive gamble on Ruben Amorim. And to be fair, I don't think any of us thought it was a great move, great gamble, but it's paid off. And like, I don't. He's growing on me. I can't lie, and it's because, you know, as much as I love Bruno de Carvalho and you know, there's presidents before that, they didn't manage to win a league title, and I know that's not just due to football. There's politics behind that as well, but it's two in his tenure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Varandas has won 2 futsal Champions Leagues, and he's also won us the league. And I think he's got the most
couple Taça La Ligas, 4 trophies, I think, right? For the
I think he's got the most of before maybe 2000
per season. I think it was the most trophies per season he has, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Or in something. I read that record too yesterday.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't really like the guy personally, and like the way he got to power is a bit suspicious, but. There is no doubt in my mind that, like, I'm not going to discredit the man. I'm not going to say, oh, he got lucky. Call it what you want. He bought Amorim, paid the buyout clause. He bought everyone Amorim wanted. You know, we've used the academy, and a lot of that is down to Amorim. But the guy who hired it was Varandas. And, like, I mean, as much as I don't like him, I don't see him losing any sort of election anytime soon. With what he's done, I can't see anyone saying getting him out. But, like, I mean, I don't like him, but I will give him all the credit in the world. The transfers, like, of Dumbia and all them players, all is forgiven in football terms, not in politics terms.
Yes,
in football terms, fuck it, clean slate for you. But like, he took a gamble.
They're still on the books, and they're gonna all be back next summer. But I don't even care.
Yeah, exactly. But like, he took a gamble, and like Paul said in the comments there, be interested in how he invests it. If Amorim stays, if anyone stays, you know, Amorim does have a buyout clause, I'm pretty sure. So if one of the big teams come and get it,
30 mil.
Who knows?
Benfica, 30 mil. Pesa.
I mean, wouldn't surprise
I've seen them spend more stupid, more worse, you know? But you listen, you're right, Simon. I was going to get into it, but let's get into it right now, because it is a good debate to get into. I think and a necessary debate, especially now more than ever. And you're right. He gambled. I think the fine margins, in my eyes at least, is on Bruno Carvalho's all-in, you know, going for Jorge Jesus. It didn't pan out, and he basically lost everything, right? As you do in all-ins. And Varandas, he's paid off. He won everything.
To give credit to Bruno Carvalho, on an article yesterday, he gave credit to Varandas, he gave credit to Amorim. Yeah. Like, people would think that he was just going to not say anything, or he wanted us to lose, but we spoke to the guy. He wanted us to win. He wants us to win everything, and it shows the character of him. Like, I mean, he gave credit where it was due, and I think that in the way he left, I think that takes a lot of balls, a lot of like masculinity to do that. So fair play to the man.
Exactly. But more so than that, and like Bruno Carvalho said, and like Bruno Mascarenhas came on the pod and said, and I think what we've been reiterating since the start of the podcast, it's not necessarily it's not the Varandas trophy, it's our trophy, it's Sporting's trophy, you know, and whether we might be a pro Bruno Carvalho, and for a lot of time we've been saying Varandas out, but it's only because for most of his presidency, I mean, Varandas has showed us little to nothing in terms of helping the team grow and doing right by the club. Okay, this year has been phenomenal. And there's a lot of people coming out. And again, let's get into this debate about whether we want Varandas in and out. But I know if things change next year, and if this time next year we're in 4th or 5th, knock on wood, it doesn't happen. But then that conversation starts right back up. But Steph, I'll shoot it to you. Varandas in, Varandas out. What's your opinion on this? And yeah,
I mean, that's easy a question to answer. Actually, So we elect our presidents for a term. So when we elect our presidents for a term, that's what it is. They has to stay for the full term. We have to stop in wanting to fire presidents before the term is over, because it's expensive as well. Every time you have an Assembleia Geral, it's what is it, 160,000 euros? It's not peanuts. And he won the elections. It don't matter what people think, if they think he won in a cheating way or whatever, but he won against Bundito. And that's the way the elections are set up. It's the way he won the elections. So if we don't do that, then we have to change in Assembleia Geral. Pessoa é voto. The way it is set up now is the more years you have associado do Sporting, the more your vote counts. But that's before Varandas. That's not his fault. We can blame the man for the voting system the way it is now when it's been implemented from several years ago. That's number one. Number two, he won the election fair and square, so now he's going to have to stay until next year. What is it, June 2022? So so look at it. So let's say if he doesn't win the elections, another one wins the election. Bundito, if he runs again, or somebody else, then that new president will have to stay for 3 years. But we can on wanting to fire presidents because it's the flavor of the day, because that brings a lot of inconsistency, and our club needs consistency. They need união. A união faz a força. I've always been a Bruno Carvalho supporter. I'm always going to be a Bruno Carvalho supporter. I'll never deny that. But at the same time, I'm capable of saying that Vers and Luke Vienna, they've done a great job. And why am I saying this? It's not because we won the championship. It's because what they did was they gambled with Ruben Amorim, and then we saw what happened. A great communicator, a great coach, a great guy that basically elevated and Sportingismo when he's not even Sportingista. I mean, it might be a little bit more now because he knows the culture of the club, but all of that we owe to Mourinho, because if you follow his career, he started Casa Pia. There's I think El Sábado, the magazine Sábado. They were talking about his career when he initiated his coaching career, which was at Casa Pia. They had no conditions, and he got there, and he's gent, he was firm, he was very, demanding, and he got it his way, and they won the championship. His first championship was with Casa Pia, actually. It doesn't matter if it was the third division, second division, whatever it might be. That's when he won his first, and then they knew since that day, they knew this guy's going to be a great coach because of the way he is. And Hugo Viana knew him. And this one is on Hugo Viana. It's not so much on Varandas. It's on Hugo Viana. Varandas trusted Hugo Viana as the director. And he said, go get me a good coach. And he said, I want Ruben Amorim, but he's going to cost $10 million or euros. And he believed in him. He believed in the project. And I don't know if you guys remember, the first day that presentação do Ruben Amorim, they said, you were expensive. What about if this doesn't work? And he responded this way: what about if it does work? And it did work. He was so confident about himself, and he basically, the only thing he demanded was, let me pick my players, we'll do it together. I think what he didn't pick was Puro and Adam. That was already pre-done by the scouting department. It paid off. And, to wrap it up, I'm glad that we got Ruben Amorim, and I hope he stays for many years. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. He makes good money as well, and he deserves it. Don't get me wrong. But
just got a fat bonus confirmed as well. I don't know when that's going to hit his check, but it'll be coming in the next check, or if not this one, the one after.
Yeah, 1 million plus 2.3. But what I got to tell you is the following. Varandas in until his full term is expired. When he has to go for re-elections again, it'll be a new season. It's going to have to be a winning season again. But if you look at the modalidades, if you look at everything all together, the only modalidad that we lost, we're not going to be champions, is volleyball because it's over. But they won the Taça Portugal, which I didn't think they would, but they did. They pulled it off. But we won a bunch of titles this year, and people forget that, but I don't forget that. We won in futebol praia, campeões nacionais, atletismo, campeões nacionais, senhoras e senhores. We won in rugby, ladies, campeões nacionais. We won 2 Taças Portugal with the ball team. We won a Taça da Liga and a Taça Portugal with our futsal team. We won the UEFA Championship League with the futsal team. We on the verge of winning or potentially winning the basketball playoffs against Benfica, and then clinched. Okay, Patins, it's looking good. We won against Barcelos, and then the game it'll be the following week because now it'll be the UEFA Okin Patins Championships games this weekend, and so we are in all fronts except of handball because we lost against Porto no Dragão. We had to win, and that's over. Porto will win. They have a better team. But besides that, the ladies are in first place. So they could clinch the title as well at home against Benfica. They have a Braga game and then Benfica. Even if they lose at Braga, they have to win against Benfica, and then we clinch the league. So we are doing really well in everything else. And one thing that Sportingistas, they were criticizing Varandas was no houve investimento nas modalidades. But they never look at the other way, which was o Varandas e a administração dele apostaram na juventude e na formação do Sporting, and that's paying off. Because when you're a champion of UEFA Champions League with Tomás, that's 19, Yuziki, that's 19 years old, and then you have 6 more juniors in your bench, it says something. And if you have a lot of talent in Portugal, they're looking at Sporting. Even the Benfica supporters and say, well, I want to go play for that club because they will give me a chance. If I play for Benfica and Porto, they're not going to give me a chance. O Sesc Conceição, Jorge Jesus, they're not going to give me a chance. I'd rather go next door. And that's a good thing because a gente aposta na formação. And that's the way to go. We don't have that much money, everyone knows that. Porto is broke. Benfica is broke as well. So what Varanda is doing is being realistic. You know, we're going to lose some good players like Gita, possibly Nuno Mendes, you know, Rocha. I'm going flipping and flopping with the modalidades in football because these players, when somebody says Barcelona, you know, in futsal says, hey, we're going to pay you the triple, there's nothing you can do. You have to let him go, you know. And Nuno Mendes will be the same thing. If a Leicester or Manchester United or Manchester City says, hey, we're going to pay you $5 million a year, Sport is going to have to let him go as long as they pay the fee that we deserve, of course. But it's just the way. But Varandas in, let him finish his term. Let's see how everything plays out. And whoever is the next president, let him finish his term as well. That's the way it's supposed to be. We elect someone for the 3-4 years, leave them alone for 3 years. And Varandas approve of that. We left him alone. Not really, because he did get a lot of people contesting him.
You don't have to leave them alone. They work for us, so we don't have to leave them alone.
No, I know, but
we obviously recognize their term, right?
But
I don't think someone else is the president. I think he's the president, right?
But constantly fucking bringing up Varandas out doesn't help. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, fair.
Já acabei. Caralho.
How about you, Chris?
Caralho. Caralho, pá. Yeah, I mean, he echoing everyone else, like, obviously, all the credit in the world for this season. This season put together great. We've credited him along the way, definitely, with his acquisitions, right? hitting on basically every single player that he brought in this season, which, to be fair, right, is the opposite of what happened the season before, where everyone that he brought in was Eduardo and Dumbias and Hesses, bro. It was shambles, mate. So a complete opposite of that, right? So, but it's what have you done for me lately? All is forgiven for that because he's put together a great season this year, right? He's entrusted his guy. Like Varandas he's the figurehead, right? He's in charge of hiring the people, and then the people that are around him that greatly influence him. And I mean, it paid dividends. It could not have possibly worked out better this season. I mean, the qualms I've always had with Varandas have been like, his treatment of the sauciers, like undemocratic practices in general. His relationship to the fans, his constant war with the clacks, which kind of definitely got put on the back burner a lot this season because there was no fans in the stadium. So, I mean, I feel like he has an opportunity right now to extend an olive branch if he really wants to. Fans will be back eventually, right? Saw some unnecessary scenes last night with he could have put out a statement, standing up for the fans, right? They're probably not gonna do that. They're probably just gonna tiptoe around it. I mean, I feel like Varandas is gonna operate as Varandas. He's gonna the people like us. He's gonna constantly antagonize us in ways like constantly surrounding himself with guys like Paul Foot, right? Who will and he's always gonna do stuff like that, and it's always gonna piss me off, and I feel like some of the stuff he does sometimes it's like to qualm with like a couple thousand people out there. So yeah, that's fine. I mean, I've also, one of the other qualms that we've had is that there's been no opposition to Varandas, right? So it's not like, oh, we don't back him because we're backing X. Like they're literally X doesn't exist, right? He's got a monopoly right now, right? And he's won the title, like Steph touched down before. Good season with modalities as well. I think that this season, like that I think we're gonna get like castaways from Benfica and Porto academies. Like I think we're gonna pick up a couple key guys like that because they just got the best sales pitch that anyone could ever give them was this season. Amorim does not play games, right? If you have the quality, he'll put you right in, no questions asked. And that's
Chris. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off. You are 100% correct because next year, the junior team they'll play the youth league, so it's a plus.
True. Yeah, that is huge. Yeah, I missed those games, man. Youth league before the singers, man. Back to the good old days of like 2016, man. Still in college, good times. But yeah. I mean, so I guess that's basically where I stand, right? It's tough to say Varandas in or out, right? Because, I mean, obviously, I thought he's had a great season. I personally don't support the man, but honestly, yesterday, like how he acted, thought he carried himself very well. Like I thought he acted like the most relatable he's acted. Like I've seen him act. Like he did not seem like a robot yesterday. He seemed like a human being. He's showing emotions. At one time, he was up there with Pedro Proença before any of the players got there. He's like, woo, doing one of these, like, holy shit, this is real, like he was doing like relatable shit that made me smile yesterday. And even in that video, that's pretty good speech, man. I'm not gonna lie. That's a pretty good speech by Varandas. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times he did that over the course of the season. I definitely think that was a special occasion. But I mean, I'm a sucker for a good speech, and that was a good speech. Amorim's as well. Great. But I mean, to give Varandas credit, since that's the topic here. So yeah, I think a lot remains to be seen, right? Because I think a big thing is relationship with the sauciers, relationship with the fans, right? And right, there's still a budget to be approved. There's going to be fans coming back in the stadiums. Like, is Diretivo, are they not allowed to have flags still? Are you still going to be doing that type of shit? Like, so we'll see what he does. But yeah. all the credit this season. You know, he'll go down in the history of this club. You know.
Just to add to that as well, I agree with what you said about extending the olive branch, like the fans, and I think if he was clever and if he really wanted to unite Sporting, and this might just be my personal opinion, but we've been talking about it for ages, then he said before that he'd make Bruno de Carvalho a socio if he was proven innocent in court. He was. I think now is the perfect time. Bruno de Carvalho extended the olive branch his way. It'd be nice if Varandas said like the other way, that we'll make you a socio again. I don't think it will happen, but I think it might. But in terms of what Chris said about being a robot, I was watching today, and actually it might have been yesterday, I was watching Kawhi Leonard interviews, and he reminds me so much of Varandas, just like the way he is in interviews, like no emotion, just like straight to the camera, like proper robot. But no, yeah, I mean, if he was clever, extend the olive branch to Bruno de Carvalho, extend the olive branch to the fans, and let Trevante Williams on the Sporting 160 EN podcast.
He really, I mean, if he could do like 3 very simple things at the snap of the fingers, and we'd have to look up, is there term limits to the Sporting presidency, you know? Mm-hmm. Because he really could consolidate a lot around himself right now. That's up to him, right?
Yeah. Can someone send Varandas this podcast just so he knows that we're like supporting him? Just so he's aware.
Like, I know. I mean, and now I'm about to ruin it with what I'm about to say, but it's. I mean, it also helps that the season where he's the most quiet is the one we're champions as well. And but more so than that, I think it's also. I mean, I have of course, like Christian just said, I don't personally like the man, but more so than the man, I don't like the people behind the club that are running it as well, like the Rogério Alves, you know, and the way he came about back into the club was my biggest gripe with Varandas from day one, is because Rogério Alves, I only found out he was part of Varandas' team the moment Varandas got elected, and that's a different conversation in itself. In terms of Varandas, I'm with all of you, where I mean he bought himself more time. And like you just said, Sam, and I think it's the best way to unite the fans, truly unite the fans. Because even yesterday, within people with the club, we heard the discurso of a lot of people shat on Bruno Carvalho or on Varandas in this administration. You know, now look at who's champions, blah blah blah. I think the easiest way to unite is what you were saying. You know, extend an olive branch to, if not Bruno Carvalho, whatever. I understand that there's other things behind that, and you know, making Bruno Carvalho socio might hurt him in the long run in terms of a next election or a future election. But at least establish a better relationship with the fans now that we're champions, now that everybody's in a good mood. Now that, you know, I'm kind of still sad that there's been little to nothing being said on Sporting's end, unless I missed it, on the abuse of the police yesterday, I think. In my eyes, at least from Toronto, you know, of course, whoever was there should know.
It seems like it's just a hands off, like, oh, I mean, we planned this, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, like, what do you mean? It's like you took it seems like everyone took a weird hands off approach, and yeah, I mean, it's just.
But it's not even. I'm not even asking for them to either give responsibility to the police or take on. I'm not even asking that. I'm just saying, you know, like, some sort of message to the fans, like, listen, I know things got a little crazy, but we thank you for the support, blah, blah, blah. Like, at least some sort of little mention from it. My dad was telling me, I don't know if it was the Presidente República or who it was, some sort of government official was at least saying that they're going to investigate police conduct from last night. You know, if the government could say some shit like that, the incompetent Portuguese government, I mean, come on, as a club, say something about your fans, you know, that's maybe one little gripe that I might have from last night. But I mean, in terms of Varandas in or out, I'm with all of you guys. Let's, you know, and I think we've been in this sort of position since day one. You know, he has a 4-year term to cumplir. You know, let him run it. But as you said, Christian, and well, we are servants of the club as well. If we don't like the way a club is being run, especially last season, we can't. I know we're champions now, and it's easy to say because it's what are you doing for me now business. But especially last season, I mean, look at the way the club was run, from modalities to the soccer team. It was a joke. What a joke of a transfer window. Of course, we have every right to be mad. It was one of our worst seasons last season. Flip side to this season,
he outsourced the job to bad people, and this season he outsourced the job to good people.
Perfectly.
He outsourced the media social team that they hired, whatever company they fired, a company that's like 7 letters. Like, and then they had a new acronym company, and the new one way better than the old one, right? They had fire content like all season. Like,
yeah,
good. It's a good, like a good. He put himself around the right people, right? I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, is George Men's gonna give us some good guys next year? Is he gonna fucking try to move them all and take like 40% fees with Nuno Men's on some like Fabio Vieira shit? Like, I mean, like there's just a lot that remains to be seen, but like I want sport. Like there was a comment or question about it. Like let's build from here, right? Like you've established that you have the best academy in Portugal, right? Like
I think personally the best media team currently. I don't see Benfica or Porto popping out anywhere near the good content. Maybe we're just winners and it's that good, but
the Porto media team, especially like the social media like people like David Fernandes and Francisco Marques are fucking terrible. So there's no competition there.
Yeah.
But as well, I think we've needed stability, whether that's the president, the manager, the players. We needed that for at least the last 4 or 5 years. Even the back end of Bruno de Carvalho's term, his last term, I think we did need that stability that we didn't have, and I think now we're finally getting there. You know, everyone's behind the manager.
Media drives a lot of the narratives too, and there's like I saw a comment earlier about the no war in the press. Like, there's no war in the press because like this guy is with the like the press is backing him, right? There was only a war in the press because they didn't back the last guy, right? This guy, Record has scoops the night of every like Record will never criticize because I mean that's the trade-off, right? You get the super inside access for fealty to the source of the information, you know?
Yeah, and as well as just one thing I don't think we mentioned on the video you said about Varandas making the speech. I think it's clear to see that the players also have a good working relationship with him and they seem to respect him. So I think that also works well in our favour if we've got a president, if the players get along with them and, you know, the management team gets along with them. I know they really don't have much of a choice, but it's just good for that morale. And it does show on the pitch, so, you know, fair play.
Yep.
Facts. I mean, Paulinho gives you the stamp of approval. I mean, we just have to shut up and agree with it, right? Like, he's our king. But no, facts, guys. Yeah, really, really well done. I actually really wanted to do a Varandas In or Out debate podcast. We can probably still do it, especially as the time develops. But I mean, like as we've been saying and as we've been echoing, not only this season but this podcast right now, credit to Varandas. You know, he deserves a round of applause for that because he has put on a great season. We mocked his Manchester City negotiations the first 2 years of the rumors, but I mean, Pedro Porro's been a beast. Well, I hope he stays, right? He's been amazing for us.
How good was that paperwork and that deal that they negotiated a year ago? How good was it?
Yeah.
Let's hope it was like very good. No loopholes, otherwise, fuck.
He has me a little nervous though, because I did see a clip of him on Sporting TV, or was it Sport? Maybe it was Sport TV, and the commentator asked if he was staying next season. And he sort of shrugged it off, saying like, we'll see. Like,
if he gets Demiral, I'm okay with that.
Is that a rumor?
That's where we just buy him and then immediately flip him for twice or 3 times as much.
Well,
right?
I think
if we just lose him, period, because they just take him back and he just plays for Man City next season, that's fucked because he's on a 2 fucking year loan, and we have an option to buy. Like, if he gets out of that, we didn't close all the loopholes, you know.
I think we're going to buy him.
Buy and sell? I'm okay.
Because his value is at all-time high as well. Like he's not played for City. They've got João Cancelo, who's one of the best right backs in the world.
He gives us an all-time season at right back, and then we make like 15 mil off him, 20 mil off him. Hell yeah.
Yeah, because 100%. I think it's 8 point. In it, 8.5. We need to buy him for.
Yeah, it's like 8 or 9.5. I've seen both reported, to be honest. Like a million times.
8.5, that's nothing. We can sell him for 1,000 at least.
25, 30, you would think. 25, right? Fair valuation for him. Yeah. Buy for 9, sell for 25.
Right in the pocket. Clause in there as well.
Easy money.
5% sell-on fee. Yeah. Some like title fees wherever he goes, like Varandas did with Bruno Fernandes. Yeah.
And I mean, develop a better relationship with City as well, who, I mean, they're a small club, as we mentioned earlier, but for some reason they have some great players and some good money behind them. You know, maybe they can loan us some Super League players. You know, you never
They have
know.
a lot of our youth players as well. They had the Felix
They
Correa
do.
from us for a bit, and there's one guy who's absolutely killing it for them in the I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the younger Premier League 2 or something like that. They have one of our academy players playing for them who's being fantastic. So maybe it will be the start of like a working relationship.
Facts. Truthfully, I don't even know where to go from here, to be honest.
I wanted to talk about one thing, right? And
I like that smile. Is it what I think it is?
I don't think so.